Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets. I'm your host, DJ Mitchell, here to go over the New Year's Eve slate. New Year's Eve, we have 4 games. They're all throughout the day. Something that I really wish hockey would do more often on a weekend. They do it sometimes. I think that this is really what I would love to see for the playoffs is hockey to take the approach of NCAA basketball with the March Madness tournament and just have hockey start at 11 a.m. and go all night long would be much better. I am wearing, I don't think it's showing up very well. I don't know why. This is green. It looks like it's black on my screen, but I'm wearing my Christmas colored New Jersey Devils. It's a Taylor Hall jersey. Because Christmas just passed and I wanted to spread holiday cheer no matter what. So we have 4 games starting at 1 p.m. and I think the last game will end. Oh man, what time is it? Yeah, 7:30 start time. So it'll end early on the East and West Coast. So all day long hockey. We have 4 games, and I mean you can play the full slate on DraftKings. So we're going to go over everything. Starting with the Edmonton Oilers at the New Jersey Devils. So yeah, it's a 6 over under. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm fine with the over. I mean, it's minus 120 right now, so I'm worried it's going to get to 6.5. And then we're kind of talking a little bit of a gray area. The Devils have been a team that have given up goals in bunches at times, and occasionally they'll play fine defensively. I think that their defense is a little bit underrated, but it's hard to say because they haven't really put that into action very often. A lot of models had, I know a lot of sharp people that were betting the Sabres to score over 3 goals against them last time out. And the Sabres only scored 3, so it pushed. But I mean, it's one of those things where, if smart people are saying it, it's showing up in models. It's hard to say it's not a good bet. And if the Sabres were projected to put more than 3, I'm thinking Edmonton could kind of do the same. Now, Edmonton did not look great or fantastic against the Blues. They were expected to score 2.7 goals. They had 2. They have really rode McDavid into the ground. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shot attempts. 1 hit the post. He did not score in that game. Leon Draisaitl, on the other hand, did, and he had 4 shot attempts. So what I'm getting at here is that it does feel to me like you can feel decently comfortable in taking the Edmonton side in this is kind of my starting point. It's minus 150 on the road. Doesn't feel fantastic. Not my favorite bet. Over 6 is really like I'm getting at. It's kind of the better option. I think Edmonton is pretty porous defensively. They were expected to give up just under 4 goals. They gave up 4. I think that's going to be a similar case. They'll probably be expected to give up around 3. If they get the right goaltending, who knows? I think they'll be expected to score over 3. So I think that a 7-goal game is really in effect here. 6.5 it makes you feel a little bit worse. You kind of just like that feeling of the push. And the reason why I always kind of like Edmonton is if they get down in the game, like they did last time out, pull up their minutes. McDavid, 23, Draisaitl, 22, Hyman, 21, Nugent Hopkins, 20. Fogle actually was the other guy that got the push with some players out. He ended up getting 18. So a guy that you might want to keep your eye on. He played with McDavid and Hyman in that matchup, power play 2. Yeah, he had a little bit of power play run, and he isn't the worst rate shooter in the world. So a guy to kind of keep in mind when you're betting goal props. I think maybe I'll throw him in the mix. He was. He only had 1 shot attempt at 1 on net. So not the best bet in the world. I'm not saying that put the house on it, but I don't think it's insane to consider. So yeah, no, I like this game over. I liked the Oilers just fine. I think they're the better team. Could goaltend and get you. Yeah, so I just would rather take the over. Player props, I like McDavid. If it's plus money at 3.5, I consider it. If it's 3 on the shot prop, I definitely like it. I do think that in DFS, it's worthwhile to consider doing the McDavid Draisaitl route. They'll get big minutes, but they are really expensive. They're really going to cannibalize all of your salary cap. But as I'm going to get to, a lot of the higher price wingers, a few of them are out. So that's going to kind of open up, I think, some cheaper plays, but they might not be great leverage spots. On the Devils side, they played the Sabres. The first line went crazy. Bratt, Hughes, and Sharangovich all had goals. Hamilton as well. So that 4-man stack would have been real strong. They had a ton of shots on net. Jack Hughes had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shot attempts in that game. So this is the Jack Hughes I've been waiting to see. I mean, if he is going to be firing like that, I love him. He was hovering around a 2-shot prop quite often. I'm right back on it here. I love Jack Hughes. Takes the break, and that line was just awesome together. Zacha had a ton of shots too. Now they're not playing the Sabres, but the Oilers can give up shots. I don't think that they're a completely unwilling to. And I mean, they gave up quite a few shots to the Blues. So with some guys out, I think it's a good bet. I think this over is a good bet. I think there's some shot props that have value in Jack Hughes and McDavid, maybe even Draisaitl. I'd like to see the line first. But that's where I'm going to be looking. And then Jack Hughes to get a point, to get an assist, to get a goal, bet him all three. I think it's a fun time. Moving on to game number 2, we have the Anaheim Ducks at the Vegas Golden Knights in a matchup that has all the value in DFS. So I want to quickly say a quick get well soon to Max Pacioretty, who had wrist surgery. He will definitely be out and probably for a little while, which obviously, without spoiling it, changed what the Vegas Golden Knights tried to do in their 6-3 win. They played good. Marchessault had 2 goals. Smith had a goal, and that line did really, really, really well for them. Marchessault, Carlson, and Smith, that is. So yeah, we're not going to have Pacioretty in this one. It's going to change everything about, the makeup of this team and the slate. So I think that line probably stays intact. I don't know who's going to move up and who's going to move down. But I definitely want to consider something on this Vegas side. What it's going to be for me, I'm not sure yet. I think Marchessault is probably just the easiest bet for whatever he's going to be at, but I'm worried that the lines are going to be not as advantageous. Carlson hit the post in that game, so really close to scoring in his own right. His goal prop has been a lot worse than Marchessault, which might be justifiable, but I don't think it's insane to think that he could be back on track. The Anaheim Ducks rostered a different team without Zegras. I mean, they ran 11-7, meaning 11 forwards, 7 defensemen, opened up some more ice time, got stuff at 23 minutes. Lundestrom led them at 5-on-5 time, and he played with Raquel and Milano, took over the Zegras role, was not on the first power play. So yeah, I would say got beaten pretty good by Vancouver, even though it was a 2-1 overtime loss. I think Vancouver got the best of them by a little more than that. I mean, the expected goals weren't out of this world. Vancouver expected 4. They were expected about 2.7. And yeah, like I said, they really didn't have anyone that played unbelievably well. That's going to happen. I mean, we don't know. Could Zegras come back? I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to find out tomorrow. That's the tough part about recording the day in advance, is you don't know until it's kind of right there in front of you. So yeah, I'm kind of the mindset of, on this game, the under 6 seems fine to me, especially right now without Marchessault. I mean, without Pacioretty, without Zegras, the under 6 is a good bet, just straight up. So that's kind of where my head's at initially here. And then Vegas at home, it's fine, but I think minus 175 is a little bit insane. I'm hoping it gets a little bit better when the line hopefully shifts with the Pacioretty news. So that's kind of where my head's at with that one. The next game is the Rangers at the Lightning. The Lightning are on a true back-to-back. No, they played on the 28th. They were off on the 29th, and now they're on a back-to-back at home. So they played in Florida, and now they're going home to play the Rangers. So yeah, Tampa Bay, I mean, right now, the rest of recording, they're losing to Florida. I think it's 4-1 maybe. Yeah, they're just not a team I have a ton of time for right now. Personally, no Kucherov, points back, but they're expensive on DraftKings. I haven't really talked much about DraftKings here. I'll get to that maybe at the end then. I don't have an aversion to getting a little bit of shot prop type of look. I bet the point line for Thursday night. He was expected, his expected goals were over 1 against Montreal, and obviously Florida's a much better team, but I kind of went back to the well with it. Is what it is. He had 1 million shot attempts in that one, so I thought maybe he'd be back on track, but it is what it is. So we'll see what happens with that bet. But I do think it's really hard for me to get away from the top guys in Tampa as far as shot props are concerned. And on a back-to-back, I really just don't love kind of getting in on that action. They might just play a slower paced game, try to suffocate the Rangers, and just that's the way it's going to go. With the goaltending situation in Tampa, with Maxime Legacy kind of being the guy, I don't know who they're going to have in net. I don't know if Vasilev's going to be back. We don't know right now. So I am just more of not trying to touch the over-under at this point, and I have to wait and see. If it's Legacy in net, yeah, I mean, the over is probably decently likely. That guy is giving up goals in bunches. The Rangers should have Shesterkin probably in net. I believe that might be the case, but I don't know if they said officially yet. Yeah, they didn't say officially at practice, so we don't really know. Their lines were as expected. Kreider's Zibanejad, Kakko, Panarin, Stroman, Hunt, and then the rest, Lafreniere on the third line, and there was no sign of Filipino, so he's probably not going to be in this one. The Rangers can push pace okay, and they they're fine. They're defensively, I don't know. Again, this matchup to me is really predicate on the goaltending. If Vasilevsky's in net and you give me an over 6, I'm taking the under. Vasi versus Sturkin all day. If you tell me his legacy, no way. I just don't know right now what to expect without any news. So we're going to have to find out tomorrow on that. And that's also going to change the lines too. Right now, if you give me Rangers plus 130 with Maxime Legacy in net, yeah, I'm taking that every day of the week. That's really where this game's at. It's got to be a wait and see. I just can't justifiably tout this right now. And our last game of the night is Washington at Detroit. Detroit plus 120 at home. Washington minus 140 over under 5.5. I like the over. I mean, it doesn't take a genius here. I think it's going to end up maybe getting to 6. It's minus 120 right now on that over 5.5. But you give me any game with Ovechkin. I mean, the guy is absolutely awesome. I think that Detroit has enough with that top line to cause a problem for Washington and kind of in my opinion, lack of depth. So yeah, I'm fine with it. In the last game, Washington gave up 3 on 2.2 expected goals. I just don't really find their goaltending and defense to be very, very good. They had a lot of power play time in that game. Like I'm saying, they really should have won by more than 2 goals is the point I'm trying to make here. They win 5-3 just because of how good their goal scorers are. And I'm just thinking that they find a way to score a few on Detroit and Detroit gets them back because they're just not the best team in net. That's the easiest way of betting on this is going over the 5.5. I personally probably just won't touch the minus 140 for Washington. I think it's the better bet for sure. I mean, Detroit, I don't think is that great. They're fine, but they're well rested. They haven't played a game yet since the COVID break. They've been on pause for quite some time now. Their last game, coming back on the 18th. That's 12 days off. I just don't really see a need to bet it. I think you honestly might find more of the sharp money going to the Red Wings just because of that. I'm not really in the business. I'd rather have a little bit more fun with this game. Take OV to score. Take maybe even over 1.5 for Ovechkin if you can get it, and just have fun with this game. Go with the over and enjoy it. It's New Year's Eve. Have a glass of champagne and watch Ovechkin play hockey. There's no better option. As far as the DraftKings slate is concerned, I do think that there is value in these Red Wings. Lucas Raymond is 4,300, Larkin 63. I think that you could really look at this game as good leverage off of how highly owned Edmonton might end up being against the Devils, and say that these 2 games seem like better options, in my opinion, for maybe the offensive explosion that we'd like to see, and kind of getting those kind of game stacks together instead of taking the McDavids and all that stuff, getting Ovechkin, et cetera, and company. It might be a good leverage play. That's probably my best take on the whole slate at this point in time. But, in any DFS you're doing, if you're going to bet on the DraftKings slate, you want to maximize correlation. You want to maximize the ownership leverage that you can get. I mean, it's a 4-game slate. It's going to be tough. And you want to maximize the projections that you're using. If you have a game that you have a really high expected goal, you want to run with it, go right ahead. But you might run into other people that have those similar projections, and the ownership's going to skyrocket on a 4-game slate. So do with that what you will. I think that there's enough value pieces that I've already mentioned that could get you there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much going to do it for this slate. Enjoy the 4-game slate. Happy New Year. Make your resolution to win more bets, and make another resolution to rate, review, comment, do all that fun stuff. We love it. And if you need any more advice, my DMs are always open. I'm always talking to people in there. I've gone over some strategy, and watch my bonus video that should be coming out. I'm guessing around the same time. I should be out today when you're listening or watching this. I'm excited. I think it's a good strategy, and I'm going to just let you listen to it and tell me what you think. A new way of kind of looking at hockey and betting on it. Enjoy and have a wonderful New Year.